Shalom Israel, peace Israel. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Akakwadash, for allowing me to do another lesson. Yahweh is who the world inwardly calls God. Yahweh Shai is his son, who the world inwardly calls Jesus Christ, and there is no God beside them. I want to give double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elect, who have ears to hear, who the Most High have blessed with ears to hear. And the name of this lesson is going to go into, or it's going to be, how prosperity is leaving on a one-way trip. And it comes by way of this video I saw by Lisa Haven entitled Catastrophic Global Food and Gas Dead Ahead. Think it's bad now, just wait. So I'm going to play a little bit of it. As you see, it's only 10 minutes, but I might just play 5. Well, we'll see how the spirit goes.
Well, if you thought the gas prices and grocery store prices that you paid over the last year were bad, well, promising that prices of your goods and prices of gasoline are going to indeed skyrocket. You see, over the past year, the Biden administration has been all about implementing destructive economic policies here in the U.S. His COVID-19 policies, which shut down businesses, forced people to vaccinate against their will, causing many people to leave their jobs because of these mandates. Well, these kind of practices cause massive disturbances in our economy and completely obliterated our economic system, causing a supply chain crisis, causing a worker shortage, and causing massive inflation on our food and on our gas and on everyday products that we buy. Well, now the Biden administration has opened the door, if you will, to a war between Ukraine and Russia. And yet again, we are going to see massive inflation and skyrocketing prices of our food and our gas and many other products. In fact, I believe we could see some major catastrophic level prices. Here's what I'm talking about here. Take a look at this BBC.com article, Ukraine War Catastrophic for Global Food. And this isn't my assessment, by the way, when I said we're going to see catastrophic food prices. These are words by people in the agricultural field, as you're going to see in this article here. And here's what it says. The war in Ukraine and Biden's destructive policies here in the U.S. will deliver a shock to the global supply and cost of food. The boss of one of the world's biggest fertilizer companies has said. Yara International, which operates in more than 60 countries, buys a considerable amounts of essential raw materials from Russia. Fertilizer prices were already high due to soaring wholesale gas prices. Yara's boss has also warned the situation could get even tougher. Now they go on to state, we were already in a difficult situation before the war, aka COVID, and now it's additional disruption to the supply chains. And we're getting close to the most important part of the season for the Northern Hemisphere, where a lot of fertilizer needs to move on, and that will quite likely be impacted. Russia and Ukraine are some of the biggest producers in agricultural and food globally. Russia also produces enormous amounts of nutrients like potash and phosphate, key ingredients in fertilizers which enable plants and crops to grow. Half of the world's population gets food as a result of fertilizers. And if that's
Right. So, and as you see, she kept saying the C word, which YouTube doesn't allow. So I may just have to end up putting it on Odyssey. But of course I'll throw the link up on YouTube. And I just wanted to play a little bit because, like she said, it's best to show where you're getting your information from so people don't think that you're making shit up. Which if you think that these prophecies and the things that we're saying are made up, you're clearly not watching what's in front of you. And you're gonna fall into a ditch, as the scriptures say. And yeah, man, as she was laying it out through just the one article of how, here it is, America is putting these sanctions on Russia, all right, for something that really doesn't have anything to do with them, as we know the scriptures say, all right. Habakkuk 2:4, how he is as deaf and is never satisfied, and he basically puts his nose into things where it doesn't belong, and it's actually hurting this place because sanctions on Russia and on various countries around the world, all right, the eyes on Russia. It makes it harder for these EU countries, which is America's allies, as well as America itself. Which America is a country that, as it goes into the prophecy in Revelations 18, is a country that is full of exports. So here it is, you're basically shooting yourself in the foot by sanctioning the people who you get your, who basically runs your economy. All right? Like, you may have a business, all right, but without customers, you're nothing. If I don't know if I'm, if that was the right example, but basically how these other countries feed America. So America would actually starve, all right, if you cut off the hand that feeds you, basically. And that's what they're doing with putting these sanctions on these other countries. All right, here it is, they're sanctioning Russia for something that doesn't have to do with them. And Russia's like, all right, bet. I got something for you. All right. But and the people who really fails in any war, whether it be economic, all right, or financial, are the citizens. All right. I was watching what was this guy? He goes by the name of Coach Red Pill, but he has another page by the name of Gonzalo Lira. And he was going into, because he's in the heart of Ukraine, and he was going into how, he basically was going into how he fears. He's afraid because you never know when Russia, will bomb the town that he's living in, bomb the building that he's in. All right. And then when you go into the statistics of World War I and II, it was more civilian casualties than anything. Right? So when you go into that word prosperity, as that is the title of this lesson, I'm going to just look it up, which I have my other phone on me. That word prosperity, meaning the state of being prosperous, all right, wealth, success, profitability. All right. And according to prophecy, success for you, all right, is far and few. All right, going into the understanding of war and how the people that get hit the most are the civilians. When you go into Matthew 24 actually, right? It says, Matthew 24:3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? And Yahushua answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am the anointed, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. So that's the time we're in. We're in a nation which, feeds another nation, is rising up against them. All right. Therefore, they're cutting off that water supply, that food, all right, to its citizens. All right. And mind you, it says the end is not yet, meaning it's not enough that my food is being, rationed out to me. All right. My cost of living is more. All right. Your leaders will continue to do more damage. Thus saith prophecy. Right? Because it's going to go from a rumor, right, to an actual thing. All right. But who pays for that? You and your taxes. You paying for the military of, your homeland country to, gear up and get ready for war. As a matter of fact, the prophecy states that the bridegroom shall mourn in the book of 2nd Esdras, the 16th chapter, which is in the Apocrypha. All right, that the bridegrooms shall mourn, having no brides. Second Esdras 16:33, the virgin shall mourn, having no bridegrooms. The woman shall mourn, having no husbands. Their daughters shall mourn, having no helpers. In the wars shall their bridegrooms be destroyed, and their husbands shall perish of famine. Right? So going to show you, it goes from an actual rumor, all right, from being a rumor to an actual thing. Right? And there's going to be wars on all fronts coming soon. Right? Whether it be a civil war to a civil war to an insurgency, to where the police is coming up against their own government, to a war within. I guess that would be considered a civil war, like war within the community, the particular community you live in. The scriptures say, for lack of bread, they basically, people show rob and spoil one another.
Moved from the field for some crops, they were moved crisis. It's how long that crisis will be. And that's kind of, how long is this crisis going to go on? Because we are in a crisis. But the article goes on to state the Yara International Chief Executive, COVID on top of war, if you will, highlighting just how vulnerable to shocks the global food supply chain is now. It will increase food insecurity in poor countries, he adds. We have to keep in mind that in the last 2 years, there's been an increase of 100 million more people that go to bed hungry. So for this to come on top of that, it really is worrying. And those are the words of the Fertilizer International chief there. And he's really out there warning, saying, look, we've had a crisis on top of a crisis, a catastrophe on top of a catastrophe, and this could cause some serious repercussions to our food supply. And I do believe this is absolutely coming. It's obviously going to hit the U.S. The Biden administration has even admitted it. But here's some more articles on that I wanted to show you. ChicagoSunTimes.com, Russia's Ukraine invasion, a threat to world's bread basket. Some prices are already surging. Here's some of the things regarding the U.S. even. Russia's invasion of Ukraine will likely ratchet American food prices even higher. That's according to experts. Then we have Time.com. Shoppers scramble for staples as the food fallout from the war in Ukraine spreads around the world. And here's an example of how that spread specifically in the U.S. The war has already driven wheat prices 70% higher in Chicago this year, and it is threatening to upend global food trade. Russia and Ukraine are vital suppliers of grain, our vegetable oil, and of course, our fertilizers that I talked about, which means that supply disruptions will be felt all over over the world. Wheat prices have surpassed levels last seen during the 2008 global food crisis, which helped spark widespread protests and a UN index of food prices to hit a record in February. Now, we also have food banks that are hurting here in the U.S. They're not getting enough food. This is on wishtv.com. Inflation strains Indianapolis Food Bank. We also have one here. Inflation hits Manatee County Food Bank very hard. So these are some of the things that are absolutely being felt here in the United States of America. Prices are climbing. And you know what? The question that we need to start asking is, how high are prices going to go for, say, our food here in the United States of America? Well, I found an article on that, and it's on desertnews.com, and it says, will grocery store prices rise in 2020? And of course they will. But here's some of the predictions that they make, and I'm going to be honest with you, I think they're a little bit more higher than what they're quoting here. But here's what they say. Grocery store prices, at home food costs is expected about 2 to 3% rise. Away from home, we're talking about restaurants and stuff, 4 to 5%. Seafood up to 4.5%. Dairy 3.5%. Fats and oils, you could see 4%, 3% for fruits and vegetables 3.5%. Cereal, bakery, these kinds of stuff. All of these things are absolutely going up. But I think it's definitely going to be on the higher end of those quotes there. But I believe if the war continues to drag on, then those could go up. Now, we also know that gasoline is also hitting, the price of gasoline, the price of our energy is hitting our pocketbooks. Here's what the Biden administration alone managed to do within 1 year. This is a CBS News article, and it says the hit to your pocketbook from higher gasoline prices cost you $2,000 more a year. So thank you, Biden administration, directly. That had nothing to do with the war. Over the past year, you paid out of your pocket on average $2,000 more for gas, which the Biden administration is doing on purpose. And that's my full attention, because they're going straight green policies. But now, on top of what the Biden administration has done, now Biden has just announced a ban on U.S. imports of Russian oil. And of course, this is going to make things, our gas prices explode here in the U.S. and our food prices. And here it is, foxbusiness.com. Biden announces ban on U.S. imports of Russian oil, warns that gas prices will go up further. And if gas prices go up further, by the way, so will our food, because gas is used by the trucking industry, by the airlines. We all use gas to get places. So this is going to cause products, pretty much every product under the sun, to go up. And here's a chart that I wanted to throw in there that shows the gas prices going up before Russia invaded Ukraine, and then you can see after the invasion, it's skyrocketing there all the more. And now, on top of that, the next question that we need to ask is, how high is gasoline or oil and all that going to get? Well, let's just go to this article here. This is on the NewYorkPost.com. Russia warns of $300 oil if U.S. and Europe proceed with import ban. Now, we obviously went forward with that ban, and if Russia goes forward with this $300 oil, then this could absolutely, I could say, possibly double what we're seeing now at the gas pump, and God forbid something like that happens. Anyhow, I wanted to give you all this information, keep you up to date on what's going on. As a quick reminder, please don't forget to check out my partner at noblegoldinvestments.com. If you haven't converted your 401k, look, now is the time to do it. Our money here in the United States of America is literally going to crap. We have...
All right, so as we hear, all right, as you just saw, basically the writing was on the wall. All right, your top websites even tell you what to look forward to. And the scriptures tell us all these are the beginning of sorrows. All right, so now I want to go to 2nd Ezra chapter 16, verse 1. So now you got to ask yourself, what happens next? Only downhill. All right, what's the opposite of success? Failure. So all the businesses, you may have, or your job, not only that, but your family, which I actually goes into how Matthew 24:9, then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted and shall kill you, and you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sakes. All right. So for us that believe in the Lord, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, as it says in 2nd Ezra 16 on down, was it like, I want to say the 60th verse around that area? How they shall be spoiling and destroying all those that fear the Lord. All right. So you fear the Lord is more than just losing your carnal, possessions. It's also losing your life. All right. So, and it's not something to scare you. It's just something to have put you in the right mindset. Like scripture say in Peter's, knowing all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of person ought ye to be in all holy conversation and godliness? Right? Because these things are physically going to be dissolved in nuclear missiles, so you really can't give too much about it. All right? And reading on now in 2nd Ezra 16:2, 16:1, woe be unto thee, Babylon and Asia, woe be unto thee, Egypt and Syria. Gird up yourselves with cloths of sack and hair, bewail your children, and be sorry, for your destruction is at hand. A sword is sent upon you, who may turn it back? A fire is sent among you, who may quench it? All right? And fire, we understand that fire, right? It destroys all your assets. Right? Which the fire that the Lord is sending upon this place ultimately is combined into what? Prophecy. Destruction. Prophecy. All right? Which entails the uplifting of Israel. All right? Which is good news for Israel. Is bad news for everybody else. So it said, plagues are sent unto you, and what is he that may drive them away? May any man drive away an hungry lion in the wood? Or may one quench the fire in stubble when it have begun to burn? And even though people that don't understand the scriptures, they understand on face value that these devils, all right, the leaders of this world, starting off with America, is literally, all right, doing harm to themselves. All right, but we in the know understand why, because the petrodollar and all the world's currencies have to come to an halt in order for the CBTDC to be implemented. As a matter of fact, there was an article that came out on the whitehouse.gov. It says President Biden to sign executive order on ensuring responsible development of digital assets. Digital assets, including cryptocurrencies, have seen explosive growth in recent years, surpassing a $3 trillion market cap last November and up from $14 billion just 5 years prior. Surveys suggest that around 16% of adult Americans, approximately 40 million people, have invested in, traded, or used cryptocurrencies. Over 100 countries are exploring or piloting central bank digital currencies, a digital form of a country's sovereign currency. The rise in digital assets creates an opportunity to reinforce American leadership in the global financial system and at the technological frontier, but also has substantial implications for consumer protection, financial stability, national security, and climate risk. All right, which that's a bunch of nonsense, because here it is. If you wanted to allow stability, you wouldn't you wouldn't go ahead with sanctions on countries that you know that will eventually hurt you. Put sanctions on countries that you know that will eventually hurt you. All right, you would allow for renewable energies to be like renewable energy type cars to be used, right? Which would basically help the world in this gas price thing, you know. But they're not here for you. Yet, they'll push it as so. Which when the scriptures say, when they show peace and safety, then sudden destruction. The scriptures say, um, I grabbed that. And was that Psalms 55 and 21? The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, and yet were they drawn swords. All right, so it says the United States must maintain technological leadership in this rapidly growing space, supporting innovation while mitigating the risk for consumer businesses, the broader financial system, and the climate. And it must play a leading role in international engagement and global governance of digital assets, consistent with democratic values and U.S. global competitiveness. All right. So the writing's on the wall, man. And I'll just end it off here, right? For lack of time. This is Revelations 13 and 16. And he causeth all, because that's the end all be all. All right. What's that word cause meaning? To make, poieo, construct, form, fashion. Right? So he's constructing a world into a better way of life. All right. But I always say, like, through the spirit, in order to make one crazy thought sound sane, there has to be no other options. So this devil's making it to where there's no other options. He's taking away all your options, i.e. prosperity. All right. Hey, making a one-way trip. All right. Going on a one-way trip away from you. And the more you try to chase it, the farther it's going to go. All right. I was going to bring that out, which I'll just grab it real quick. Proverbs chapter 23, verse 5, 23 and 4. I'll start at the top because this is a really good precept. When thou sittest to eat with a ruler, consider diligently what is before thee, and put a knife to thy throat if thou be a man given to appetite. All right, basically meaning if you subscribe to this devil's way of life, what I'm saying, if you're down with his system and the way he's bringing things, all right, if you greedy upon gain, then it's ultimately going to lead to your destruction. Be not desirous of his dainties, for they are deceitful meat. Labor not to be rich, cease from thine own wisdom. All right, because you're going to look up and find yourself microchipped, which is the MOTB, as I'm going to read in Revelations 13 and 16. And then you're going to look up and find yourself waiting on a missile to drop on you. Without set thine eyes upon that which is not, for riches certainly make themselves wings, they fly away as an eagle toward heaven. That's why the scriptures say in Matthew 6 and 19, how you should set your affections upon things on high, when neither moth nor rust does still. All right, which we get our bread, as the scriptures say, give us the day our daily bread. But the more important daily bread is this truth. All right. That's why it's a beautiful thing and it's a must that we attempt to get a lesson in daily. All right. Which, a lesson helps you, as a brother, the leader I camp, he always says, like a lesson, it's literally like you studying, and it puts you in the right mindset, because living in this rat race, you could lose it, you could lose what you should really be fighting for. Because at the end of the day, all right, as I forgot who said it, but he said, like, you will lose everything and be happy about it. That's why the scriptures say, labor not to be rich, as I just read. And there's another scripture in Proverbs 3. And there's multiple scriptures that actually speak about, let me see. Proverbs 3:13. Happy is the man that findeth wisdom, and the man that getteth understanding. Which you watch the prophets of the Lord to get wisdom and understanding. Jeremiah 3:15. It says, and the man that getteth understanding, for the merchandise of it is better than the merchandise of silver, and the gain thereof than fine gold. She is more precious than rubies, and all the things thou canst desire are not to be compared unto her. And that's why I actually played the last portion of that Lisa Haven video, because she was basically saying that, your gold and silver is going to be your saving grace. But wisdom is actually going to be your saving grace, because the slippery slope. You see the end, all right, of a man's demise who goes after this system. All right, the image, which the image of the beast is a system. All right, which the system, as we just read, is leading towards Esau owning all your assets. All right, digital currencies is basically this devil owning all your assets, meaning he can give it and he can take it away. All right, you know how you go into your account one day and it's like, you may forget that something's on auto pay, and then people could just come in your account and take, like they coming into your house, they coming into your barn and taking your goods. All right. But if you had your money, in the safe at home, you know where it's at. Nobody can just come and take it. And this devil don't want that. All right. It says she's more precious than rubies, and all the things thou canst desire are not to be compared unto her. All right. So damn, I didn't realize this lesson was 32 minutes long. It's a lot here for the long-winded. But I just want to grab this and get this lesson in. See, Proverbs 23. Lord willing, you brothers was edified. That's the most important thing we want to get across. Yeah, let me just read that. Like I said, I really gotta go. Revelations chapter 13, verse 16, and he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here's the wisdom. Let him that have understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. All right, which is the end goal. All right, a microchip that they plan on putting in you. So with that, shalom to the elect.